Well, hello, Julie Gardner here, Rise Up Wealth, and I have got a treat today. I have my twin here. I got my mama with me. Yay! Marilyn Logan's in the house. Look, we have the same smile. We got the same cheeks. We match. We only differentiate because we have different hair color, and she loves not coloring her hair, and I love coloring mine. So, ta-da! I got some gray happening here. So, Mom, welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be with you.
We call her Marilyn Logan, Mama Logan, Grandma, G-Ma. What else do we call you?
Well, I try to get y'all to call me Her Majesty, but y'all don't go with it.
We didn't go with that one.
Y'all don't do good in that.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yes. And okay, so my mom is brilliant. She was, I will say, sorry, Mom, I'm kind of telling you, she's not like, oh, come here, let me cuddle you and feed you a bunch of cookies. No, she was the drill sergeant, kicking all of our behinds, making sure we were getting stuff done. So if anyone's in the GSD club, she is the founder of the GSD club. You'll have to talk to me later about what GSD stands for. But she was the co-founder of H&W Alarm. And Mom, who was the other founder?
Your father.
And what
Your
does
daddy?
My daddy. And what does H&W stand for?
Oh, this is very scientific. Husband and wife.
I love it. And what year did you guys found that company?
78.
78. Y'all, I was born in 73. So, and there are 3 kiddos that she was in charge of. So wild stuff. And they just decided to kick off their company. But today we are talking about credit cards. We could talk about so much stuff. And we will have another chat about how they not magically, but supernaturally grew their money and always had enough. But not today. Today we're talking about credit cards. Isn't that exciting? Some of you have too much on your credit card. Some of you are scared of credit cards. Some of you don't know what to do with them. So we're just going to chat with you. And Mom, how many grandkids do you have?
7.
7.
They're the most precious people in the world.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And if nothing else comes from this video today, they will at least know what their grandma thinks about credit cards, and we will share it with them. But I'm glad y'all are along for the journey. So let's just jump in. Tell us about your first credit card. Were you married?
Yes, I was married, and John was teaching in the Catholic high school system. He was at the top of his pay scale as a coach and a teacher. He was making $6,000 a year. I was teaching in the computer college, teaching key punch, and I was making $12,000 a year.
Welcome to the public school system.
Catholic school wasn't public, but we at the time were very happy and had plenty of money. Then along came the first one. And your dad, we never talked about anything before we got married, like children, religion, money. We never had that discussion. You didn't have it back then. But your dad asked me to stay home with the children and explained the reasoning and everything. And I went along with it. He'd work in the daytime and I'd have a part-time job at night in a credit office or something like that. And he watched the kids because we had 3 babies in 3 years, 71, 72, and 73. And then we stopped that program and started the Getting On with Business program. And we had the golden opportunity to move to another Florida town. And we had the golden opportunity to buy a house. It was a little it wasn't quite 1,000 square feet, red brick house. And because we bought a house, we got a credit card. We never had a credit card before. And it was a Visa. I remember that. I don't know who gave it to us, whoever, I don't know. I was banking at Barnett Bank at that time and have never changed. They changed their name. I haven't. And I guess they gave it to me. I don't know. Well, your dad and I had 3 babies. I was staying home. And he was traveling a couple of days a week and leaving me at home alone with you kids. And at some points, we only had one car, but we had a credit card. And in 2 years' time, we ran that credit card debt up to $3,000.
Wait, let's compare
Really
that.
understand, huh?
Let's compare that to Dad's income was 6,000, and then he might have gotten up to 12,000. How much was his income at the time?
Oh, I bet his income wasn't more than 10,000.
Okay, so his income's 10,000 and his credit card's 3,000. Okay.
So we had gotten our debt up to $3,000.
Wait, what were you spending your money on?
To eat, sleep. We didn't go out to eat.
But just groceries.
Yeah, groceries. And all the neighbors, I remember we'd buy a bushel of oysters for $6 and roast them.
Yum.
Of course, there was beverages involved with that too.
Yes.
But we didn't do a lot of stuff, but we did. And I even got a part-time job in the evenings. But due to different things that happened, we realized we had to get out of debt. And we realized there was only one way to get out of debt, and that was sell that house. But we didn't think that through completely till one day he was asked to move back to Jacksonville. So I said, well, we can't go. We can't afford anything. So I said, we're going to sell the house, and we made a commitment to pay the credit card off. So I got a board. I made a sign with that board, and the only color paint I had was yellow. And I made a sign that said FORSAL, and I had to go over here and put the E, for sale. And I asked exactly $3,400 over what I had to pay the house off. You know, however you want to call it.
Right.
And we sold the house. All the neighbors, such naysayers, oh, you'll never get that. I said, oh, yes, we will. And I knew why we'd get it. So we did get $3,400. We made the commitment. We paid our credit card off before we cashed the check. The $400 moved us from where we were living back to Jacksonville.
And I guess he had a new job there, huh?
Yeah, well, yes, he had changed jobs in the process because it was more money. And I'm from Jacksonville, and I was glad to go back, and we were able to rent an apartment. We could afford that because we were not in debt. We were not good stewards of our money because nobody told us a credit card had to be paid every month. And a lot of that, a good
you were
part
like
of that
20,000
was interest.
You were like 24 at the time, 26.
Oh, no.
27.
I was 24 in 70. So in 75, I was 29.
Okay, 29.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
so
it's not like neither one of us had good sense. We had college educations. But back then, they didn't offer you a credit card out on the walkway like they do now. And
right. Now, and your dad had his own business. And he buried cable, correct, throughout Jacksonville.
Yeah, he was a ditch digger.
Okay.
He dug ditches and buried phone cable.
It's fancy, but it paid the bills, right?
Hey, that's right. I never grew up wanting anything. I had everything I wanted.
Yeah. Well, did he teach you anything about interest or debt or finances?
No, because my parents they didn't have credit cards. They didn't finance stuff. Through his business, even before he started his part of it, the business paid for his car. And when you go in and buy 6 trucks and you want to buy your wife a car, they'll cut you a deal back then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, though, because your father, they didn't do credit cards. You had a credit card when you were about 29, and then they've just gotten so much. Mm-hmm. So nowadays,
in
You
the
don't even
70s.
Yeah, and all you need is your phone now, and you can just tap and pay your bills.
I
It's
don't
interesting.
put any of my credit cards on my phone. I know that that's easy.
It's just the technology. It's just
Yeah,
interesting
I
how
just
it's
don't
part of the
do it.
culture.
Uh,
Well, let's talk about this. So mistakes happen with our credit cards because we sometimes we just need groceries. Like, right? You weren't running up, y'all weren't flying to Vegas and leaving the kids at home for the
do you,
dog to
you want
watch.
to know what our grocery budget was in 1975?
What was that?
$35
Oh, I
a
love it.
week.
I love it. That's probably one meal. I ate nachos today from the local Mexican restaurant, and I got a soda, like a 2 liter from the drugstore. I've been eating out of my refrigerator, and so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get nachos today. It was $21. I was like, this is
Yeah.
what I eat out of my fridge. Like, it's nachos. I can make nachos. That is not a wise use of my money. Okay,
We've
so
always lived on a budget at the
yeah,
grocery store. In 76, your dad and I made a commitment that we would not, any amount we spent over $50, if something came to more than $50, we would discuss it with one another. I remember standing in the grocery store one day and my grocery bill was over $100. And I'm boo-hooing in the grocery store.
yep.
You know,
Well, fun story. Our friend Regina, those of y'all that know us know Regina. When she first got married, she was just married, goes to the grocery store, and her husband gave her a list. And he was from a budgeted family, and she was a little bit wealthier. And she went grocery shopping, brought the groceries home, and he's like, Regina, you got to take this back. This is too much. This was not on the list. She said she was so embarrassed. And she's like, oh. And from that moment on, she decided she needed to make some more money. But enough said on that one. Let's talk about this. So there is a way to play the money game and let credit cards be to your benefit. How did you use credit cards to your benefit? And I know you had a business, so you might want to talk about that.
Well, in our business, we weren't using credit cards. We didn't do it. People wrote us checks. And we didn't have to take credit cards. Oh, I started taking credit cards, but I could have, as mad as I got, I didn't like having to pay 2.5% interest to somebody that owed me a bill, but I had to take a credit card. That's cost of sales. You had to take them in our business. We had a recurring income, and that's the only way you could get your money. I only had 2 bad checks in 40 years of business that I couldn't collect on.
Amazing.
So it was hard. And we didn't use, we basically, we were a cash business. You know, you got your money paid. And we bought our equipment and we paid for it as we went along. Well, somebody along the way shared with me about a credit card that had air miles on it. Well, I was paying my vendor at least 10 to 12,000 a month for equipment. As we sold stuff, we sold intercoms, central vac, security systems, cameras, all that stuff in the home. So we would buy our products and do it. And they told me about this Air Mile program. Well, by this time, it was Bank of America. So I went down, I go to the bank and ask them about this Air Mile program. I want to hear about it. And they explained it to me, and they said, you have to pay it off. I guess somebody at the bank said I had to pay it off every month. I don't know, but we paid it off every month. And I'd run up by the end of what's 12 times 12. I mean, we made good money on our credit card, Air Miles. And the first trip we made, we flew to Nuremberg, Germany, and got on that Viking River cruise on the Danube and wound up in Budapest, Hungary. And we didn't pay 1 mile. We had earned them in our business with air miles. So we used it and we did not abuse it. I didn't share them with the employees. John and I used them. And we traveled a lot on our business air miles. That's what started us really on credit cards.
Okay, you know what? I'm just the daughter doing my thing. I traveled on summer missions thanks to my mama, but I ran cross country, played soccer, was in
Tell them
bogs and
when you
bogs.
got your first credit card.
Well, I will in one second, but I just figured my parents were doing really well in their business because they were going off on these trips. Little did I know they were playing the money game with the credit card. Oh,
That's
genius.
exactly the money game we were
Yeah.
playing.
Yes.
We have flown all over the world and done many trips, and most of them came air miles from credit cards, and it is a game. Now, by that time, we have credit cards. Right now, you asked me earlier how many credit cards I had. I said I got 4 B of A credit cards in my wallet right now. And I have 1 Citi card from Costco. And
Well, why do you have all these different credit cards?
okay. Well, Costco, they'll give you a deal if you use their Citi card. Well, now I buy my gas at Costco and I make money. I get a check that gives you money back.
And what is that usually like a month? Like, is it $5 or $15?
Oh, I don't know. I get it twice a year, and I always get $75 to $100.
Not bad. Not bad.
And I refuse to use it at Costco.
Right.
I don't really.
Principle of the matter.
I go somewhere fun.
Yeah.
But my 4 B of A credit card. People ask me if I want a credit card, and I look them in the face at the store. I say, I am too poor to have a credit card. I don't make enough money, and they don't. When you tell them that, they'll get off your case. Somebody taught me how to use a Gmail account when they want your email address. I give them that Gmail account, and it goes to Gmail heaven or wherever you want it to go to. So, hey,
Gmail heaven.
But I have my debit card. I have a credit card I keep in my private book that if I'm going to order online, something I need online, I only use that credit card. Amazon's got that etched in wood at their door. I have a red Bank of America credit card, and I get 3% extra for dining. And I only use that when I go out to eat. And I know I have to have colors. And then I have a gray credit card that I use, like if I'm at the airport and I got to pay for parking, I use that credit card. Or if I'm out doing something, or buy groceries, something like that, I use that credit card.
Okay, and then how do you keep up with when to pay them all? Because I bet they all have different due dates.
That's why I only use my Bank of America credit cards. I go in my checking account. If you remember the paper on the back of the paper, you balanced your checking account. That makes me nervous because I can't balance my checking account to the penny. But I go online and I check my checking account every Friday. That's just, you pick a day, you check your credit card. Well, if I bought something and want to return it, we're all go back queens now. We buy something, we send it back. So, and the UPS store is 20 steps from my apartment. So I use that, and I get a return slip, and I keep it in the basket on my desk, so that when it's time for me to know, I get a notice. We have debited your credit card back or credited your credit card back. I write it down and look for it. And now I know they've given me this $69.99 money. So now I'm done with this. I throw it away. Okay. But if I didn't go in my credit card, go in my bank statement and look, and I knew exactly which, account to go to. I don't take my meals back. I don't check that. But I do check my credit card.
Yeah.
In the month of August, 2 of my credit cards got hit for electronic stuff. I have my account.
Meaning fraudulent
charges. Yeah. One was $586 and the other one was just a little over $500. But my banking whatever, I have a fraud alert on it, and they decline the charges because I don't go out and buy $500 worth of technology on a general rule. If I bought it somewhere like Staples
or T-Mobile,
or Amazon
stores, or her two stores. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't those two different charges. They stopped. And so that's why I stay with the bank I stay with. And I'm sure all banks have something.
So I use 2 credit cards. I have a debit card, but I never use it because I don't.
I don't use my debit card except at Publix.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why would you? Because you don't get
dangerous.
You don't get miles. So you don't get to play the game with those. Yeah. But I
play no games with that.
Yes. And I use one for business. And I have like a couple of 1099 jobs. This is 1099 and it's a tax deduction. And so I have one for business and then one for personal use. And people ask me, do you want a credit card? I'm like, no, I don't want to keep up with one extra card. So I only have 2. And then I just picked a day. So my due date for one of them is the 13th and one is probably the 20th. I pay it off on the 11th. So I have a reoccurring appointment on my calendar to pay the credit card on the 11th of every month. That way, if I don't know, spend too much chill out time at the beach, I can catch up and not pay, because this is where people lose their money is they spend money on credit card fees. If you miss your payment, you're spending $25 to $30. And something that I have recently discovered, I have to turn off the Ring camera because it's my mom's alerting me that she's there and moving. Do you know that a 20-year-old can save about $178 and have $1 million when they retire at 67? So if they're wasting money on late fees because they can't keep a calendar invite, wow, you're missing out on opportunities. Okay, what were you going to say, Mom?
You're talking about that. I use a Hamilton Beach coffee pot, and I only drink 1 cup a day, and I have the little on the side of it, and I use my own coffee. I save $287 a year by not using a Keurig.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. A Keurig, not even Starbucks.
Well, a pod.
Yeah.
Not, like all sodas are Cokes to me.
Yes.
And all pod coffee makers are Keurig.
Yes.
So I don't use those.
Right.
So I put pen and paper together, and I save $287 a year by using my bag coffee, because I buy the BOGO coffee. I'm not tied to any one thing.
Yeah, but there's some great ways to save money.
One of the credit cards I didn't mention was it's Blue from Bank of America, and it's my travel card, and it's got the word travel written on it. When I travel somewhere, I charge my plane ticket on it. I do all that. Well, I can guarantee you I haven't traveled and used that card in 3 months. Well, I did use it when you and I were at the beach, but I don't use it except to travel, and it's got a zero balance all the time. When I go on my bank statement, and when I only go on my laptop. When I go on my bank statement, it's got my account, and I can click on that one, and it'll say, this is due the 7th, or I don't even have to remember what day it's due. I can read it. It's in black and white.
Yeah, because you're checking in. You're checking in every week.
I do it every Friday. That's the first appointment I make on Friday. Out of my 4 credit cards and my lifestyle, I owe $148.
That's pretty good.
Well, I don't need to do that. I have my funds that Sunrise Wealth takes care of, and then I got the things I take care of.
You should have Rise Up Wealth take care of it, but okay, Sunrise.
But the things that I take care of, my Social Security check pay tends to that, and my little part-time job. So as soon as that check, it'll be here in the morning. I get it on Wednesday, so it'll be in the night. First thing I take out of that check, I sweep my rent to my money market account and don't touch it. And then I know what I got to live on the rest of the month. Yeah. And my month the big thing is that you just got to budget and plan. And
So
I do fine with credit cards. In order for me to have a credit card, I better be getting something for it.
okay, yeah. So let's go back to
I'm playing what you call the credit card game.
yeah, the credit card game. So just let's chat a little more. Some of y'all might have credit card debt and you're like, well, it's too late now or whatever. So my mom, I went to China when I was 17 and she said, "Hey, we're going to get you a credit card because the exchange rate is better." And she said, but she put the fear of God in me. So I don't know if she got really close. I was like, but she said, you do not need to spend just because I don't know if there was a $10,000 credit limit, but she was like, you only have $2,000. Just well, it wasn't 2,000. I don't know.
It was a $500 credit
go.
limit. And it was between your 11th and 12th grade that summer.
But there was a budget. There's an amount. So right now, I think I have $36,000 credit limit, but I would not ever use that unless there was some massive emergency, but probably still not. Probably not because I have an emergency fund. I have savings, but your credit card, just because there's a limit at 36,000 doesn't mean you need to spend it and exceed it. Some of y'all don't have any credit or very low credit right now. So it is important to get a credit card and then put some monthly reoccurring thing on it, like your gas, and then pay that off, and then put the gas on there and then pay it off. And so you want what they're doing is the credit card companies are checking to see if you're credit worthy. Are you going to pay your bills? And if you don't have good credit, you're going to pay more for a car and more for a house. So get a credit card and
you manage it. You be the boss of the credit card.
True. And you only spend on there what you can afford. Like if you only are bringing in $1,000 a month from your job, you need to look at your expenses and go, well, I spend all but $200. Well, then you should only put $200 on that credit card, because if you can pay it off every month, you might not be able to get a credit card with points back and money back yet, but you eventually can grow to that. Interest rates are between 15 and 30% right now. And I don't care. Some people do while they're trying to get to pay it off. They're looking for deals where they can transfer the money balance to a balance transfer somewhere with a lower rate, but you have to actually make a plan. Don't transfer your money and they go, I got all this extra cash, I'm going on a trip. No, you have about 6 months before that interest kicks on. So pay it down as much as possible. And just because your minimum balance says $30, if you only do a minimum balance, you'll never pay it off. So you've got to make a plan to pay towards the principal.
That's how we paid our house off in 15 years instead of 30 years. We paid our payment, plus we always put principal money in. And now I didn't even trust the bank. I'd let them take the payment out. And the next day I'd send the next one. I'd mark it just principal. So they got 2 checks from me. But you have to learn to balance it. I know we were very young and all we had, our debt was $3,000. But we were young. We were in our late 20s. We had 3 babies. We didn't know hello from goodbye, but that $3,000 debt at that young age about broke our marriage up. Not necessarily that we were in debt. We weren't on the same page. We weren't happy. It was eating us alive. And we were able to get it taken care of. And always having a limit, we didn't spend over our limit. And
there is always anxiety and stress
very much
when you have debt. And you say it's only $3,000, but that was a third of your income.
Exactly. You look at it like that.
Who cares that you make $100,000? If you're $30,000 in debt, that's upsetting and scary. And I just want to encourage all of y'all, if you do have debt and you're like, I'll never get out of it. I'm so proud of several of my friends. They will deliver shipped. They deliver DoorDash because they're trying to get ahead of it. I talked to one couple. The wife just had a baby, stay-at-home kid. You got to be creative. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, why doesn't this lady with the newborn take in another child and babysit another child for the week, every week, she could make 200 or 300 or 400 or 600 just to have a neighborhood kid in there. And I mean, 200 a week is more than zero.
But you got to decide that money is going for that. When I worked, I had a job from the day I was 13 all the way. I worked at the Credit Bureau of Jacksonville. Why he let us kids work there, I'll never know. But I got a better education there than I did in college. But when John and I need to wash a machine, I'd get a job at Haverty's. I remember that place real good because everybody financed furniture, and that's the worst thing in the world to finance is furniture. So I'd work in the credit office from 6 to 10 at night and setting them up on credit and stuff like that. But our goal, whatever we got, went in the jar to buy a washing machine. I even worked at Highlight. I was a telewager taking bets in the stands. I made great money.
You still work now. So
I have a job now. I have a part-time job.
Yeah.
I'm a widow. There is nothing on TV to watch. Of course, she made me get up from watching one of my shows. I'm on my lunch break and I watch TV. But I have to socialize. So that's why people my age work. You don't find many people my age that have to work. You know,
but if you're in debt, it's not a bad thing.
Well, they don't do that too well. I don't know why. They should know better.
Okay, well, Mom, we're gonna have to wrap up because we've been yakking for about 32 minutes and nobody's interested past that time. So
you want me to tell you stuff about Julie? I know stuff.
No, don't tell. But I do want to say there's a lot of different strategies with credit cards. If you have questions, one thing that I do at my company is I'll just meet with you and give you some advice. My email is on the screen. You can email me. We can have a Zoom meeting. Sometimes people think I need to pay off all the debt first and wait to invest. No, don't do that either, because what happens if it takes you 10 years to get out of debt or you never get out of debt, then you don't have any retirement money. So, but if you need help with the plan, we can do that. So, Mom, last parting words about credit cards. What do you have for us?
You be the boss of your credit cards. Okay. And unfortunately, you have to have them in order to have credit. Try to buy a house and not have a credit card.
Facts. Our friend pays everything with cash and he tried to buy a car and he goes, why does my credit stink? So,
but my children were raised learning. We used Dave Ramsey's method. We taught them not to get themselves in debt.
Yeah. And then pay the highest interest rate off first and then work your way down. Have
That's
a plan.
Right.
But I don't agree with the man that you shouldn't have credit cards. I don't pay cash for everything.
I don't pay cash, unless I didn't want John to know I was buying something like a dress or cookie,
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you joining us, and we're going to have her back again to tell about some amazing ways to keep the money just easily, effortlessly coming in. Mom, love you.
Love
You're the
you.
best.
Bye.
I'm gonna keep you.
Yeah, because who else is gonna fund your life?
Nobody. She does
right.
shopping for me. All right, y'all have a great day. Bye.
Bye.